Good afternoon, dear. Okay, this is the second session on this is sound and the theory. Am I right? I've written here. Yes, I'm going to activate your microphone first. You remember that this is our second session on Lord of the Flies. We briefly mentioned the story and also heard some of your comments on Lord of the Flies. This session, I see that I have activated the microphones as well, except some of the students. Now I have activated, all the microphones. Those who have joined the class yet. Now, I like to begin this session with the first questions. If you like or not, we can continue with the characterization as the previous session, but I think for this session, it is better to refer to the questions since we have got some information about the story and about the characters of the story. So I think it is now this session much better to discuss about those questions that you have received. I'll go to the first question and then explain it a bit and then wait for your comments. The first question is this, that the story deals with the inner capacity of man. Like the characters actually about the things also we discussed briefly in our last session. Like the savagery life, like the things may happen in democratic societies, and things may happen for the people in different communities, led them toward a dictatorship. Not like an let's say appearance of history that everything happens on the surface, that this happens and then A happens, B happens, C happens, C to the end. About the events, let's say. Now, I want to hear your ideas on these inner capacities of men in this novel, since it is not a historical novel, mentioning, for example, about a kingdom or about a presidential communities, but they try to do it. But we see that the story goes to some events that they present about human nature rather than historical background of the events. How do you look at it? To what extent do you agree that some concepts of human nature has been mentioned in this novel? Now, I have activated your microphone so those who are interested in can state their ideas. If you don't like, you can inactivate your own microphone. Ideas in this sense. Yes. Is anybody ready to tell us something about the question? If not,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon, dear.
Yes, I was talking about the opposition and the Lord and the life.
Yes, related to the question that I asked, or it is something that you want to tell us rather than those mentioned?
No, about your aspect.
Yes, about these capacities of human nature, yes?
Yeah, maybe we could focusing about the couch in the story.
Yes.
When the couch is first introduced, it is described as interesting and a pretty and worthy plaything. This description presents a contrast between what it seems to the boys to what it presented. The conch is used as a tool for authority, for the rules raft to create only the persons with the conch may speak. When all the boys are on the top of the mountain, Piggy arrives with the conch, so he maybe can speak. Although he has the conch, Ralph and Jack do not consider his words of any importance saying. He said, the conch doesn't count on the mountain, so shut up, he said. Even as he is obviously the most intelligent of the group. This is important in the novel, and it's simple for contrast because it's present one of the themes of the back of the book in the fallacy of authority in modern day society. The author is making a statement about the blight of the low class and that they are heard very little at the most important, the children that may have survived the plane crash.
All right. Do you think that, or everybody of the participants in class, don't you think that this conch somehow symbolizes something as a necessity for man's life, or a necessity for civilization in these communities. And regarding Conch's function in the story, it is something that may bring some say rules to societies of man to, for instance, be able to hear the other voices in the society. And these kinds of, let's say, organization or institutions are necessary actually for societies, as we may find some bad concepts if there are some policemen in societies or some cabs in societies, but to keep men in line or to try to stabilize rules in societies, it cannot be ignored, particularly for every society that they try to work on, for instance, democracy. Those who have the conch are able to participate, are able to state their ideas clearly and freely, and everybody in the society must respect the voice of the others. This is a kind of let's say commiseration in the societies to make everything ease for people, and it is a step ahead toward practicing democracy, and here multi let's say voices in class rather than only the voice of the authorities. In fact, yes, it brings or it gives some sorts of authorities to those who possess at that time that conch, but it is necessary. But we see that things happen later on that may somehow reduce the importance of this conch. But for every society, it must be somehow practiced. Respect the other ideas, respect the other notions, respect the other cultures and ideologies, whether they are strong and powerful or they are not. But we see that man is going to reject, particularly those with the authorities. They try to reject it and somehow supersede their own ideas to the group or to the communities. Now, what do you think of this idea regarding the conch in the novel and what I have mentioned? Don't you have any idea? I have activated, your microphone. The microphone of all the students now I've checked. You can activate your own microphone, and then those who are ready to talk can. Any idea? Okay. So, if you think that in this way is so difficult for. Yes, Ghaffar, please.
Yes, Doctor, maybe there's, I didn't hear your question, but I think there's another sample of contrast here. Maybe we could find it or focus on about it, the knife, because the knife represents the important difference between savagery and civility in society. As Jack and Simon come back down from the mountain, they encounter a big stuck in some vents. Jack pulls out the knife, but is unable to kill the pig. He said in this novel, they know very well why he didn't, because of the enormity of the knife descending and cutting into living flesh, because of the unbreakable blood here. Jack tries to defend his pride, claiming that he was just picking a spot. The knife also embodies the maybe archetype and theme of the corrupt innocence. The knife once used for the purpose for gaining food for the society ends up being used for the murder of those who opposes Jack's way of life. Am I right, Doctor?
You see, the idea, yes, it is right, and also partly related to the first topic you talked about. But my question was this, that if this time you see everybody hears me, that for a society, I mean a civilized society, respecting the other people's ideas, that he is to be ready to hear the other members of the community's voice, whatsoever it is. Maybe there are some differences in culture, maybe there are some differences in ideology, or some differences in language, or their skin color. But for every society to respect laws and rules in that society, something like conch, that makes everybody ready to start and to show his idea, and the others at that time hear it and then respect it, you see, as well, to let men get away from the dim sides of society, and in this case, may movement toward a humane, you see, word. So to stabilize this situation for men, maybe men need something like, for instance, parliament, like some organization like police, for instance, or something like this. Conch here, if we look at it, for this, you see, aim in the society. Therefore, how do you look at it? When we are going to have rules in societies, actually everybody agrees that we need rules.
Yes,
And if there are, yes, if there are rules, we need such things. We need such organizations, such systems of laws in societies. But we see that it ended in, you see, murdering, because they are going to abuse their own power. And I think that it is not very good for every society to make, for example, the authorities make their own decisions. They want to have the whole power in a society, a holistic view toward everything. This is part of human nature. How can you solve, or how do you see this contrast between human nature and his desires, for instance, power, their own instinct, and rules and laws of the societies? How can they be solved? Nowadays, we can find lots of instances in different societies. Actually, they avoid democracy because they want the whole power to dominate, to see everything. Now, how do you look at it? Or how can it be solved in different societies? We have systems, we have rules on one side, and we have man and his nature on the other side. None of them can be ignored. Now, how can they be solved? What is your suggestion according to the details or the characters of the story?
Maybe for my point of view or my opinion, power is one of the most important factors in the novel that contributes to the conflict between civility and savagery. Ralph and Jack from the start argue with one another on how the society should run. Okay?
All right.
Ralph's way maybe of running things is very much like society should run. He has that idea of building shelters, keeping a constant fire to serve as a beacon to passing ships, as well as the maybe canch. System of speaking, the idea are very crucial in the creating a society in which they can survive and still be
They can. So they are necessary for man's survival. If not, we see that there is one person on the top, like you see Jack here, and then it ends to some threatening for the others, like killing or murdering, you see the others, since they are going to personify everything. They want everything for their own self or for their own sake, not for the all members of the society. Maybe there are some benefits for the others, those who are very close to the authorities, but we see that not for the rest of the communities. Like we have, you see, the minority of people or communities in a big society. So the majority may possess something, may feel some benefits from these types of societies, but at least for some people in the society, there is not any benefit. And
maybe
we know that it is a necessity for man's survival, and it is a reality of see, the world nowadays, particularly in some civilized countries. But maybe in some third world countries, if there are, they also, you see that like you see some committees, they have formed some committees to help themselves to free themselves of these boundaries of life. But what can we do in this case with man and his nature? Maybe it has not been matured. Do something like, you see, their own instincts, savagery, killing, and murdering. This is the way that maybe even if there are not any rules, if there are not any organizations in those societies, may some enforcement toward his own instinct, that is living like For example, you say primitive men, to kill each other, to the wild spirits, not to be aware of their own actually essence and existence. That is development, that is humanity, that is morality, that is integration, that is respect, that is kindness, affectionate toward each other. So, what can we do in this respect, or how can it be solved? Rules on one side that make men obey all things defined by systems. We have some organizations, schools, some offices, some ministries, but we see at the end we have some like Jack that they try to misuse even the rules and all these establishments for their own sake. Yes. Any idea? If there is not any idea, so let me tell you something about, you see, the setting or about the themes or about the characters in this story. Maybe you are not interested in participating in such questions or to reply these questions. Yes? I have activated your microphone, Rawat. And if you are not interested in speaking or participating in class activities, you can write it down and then I go through your own writing and try to also make my own idea. Punishment is the only thing that prevents crime. For punishment, you mean the rules. For example, if you do a bad thing in the society, then you are punished. Very serious, you see, punishment. Even we see death penalty. But we see that death penalty